Hello and welcome back to another video. I hope you enjoyed the intro from my last one. If you didn't see it, I will probably add it to this video or try a new one. As I make these videos, I plan on trying new things to make the videos more interesting and look better. My goal is to get students to actually start watching these, since my videos will help you get through your math classes. As I have gone about the process to make these videos, I've learned is that it's weird sitting in front of a computer and talking to an audience that's not in front of me. As most of you know, and take advantage from time to time, I like talking to others. Talking to yourself is still a little strange to me. Alright, with that said, today's video is about a section that's actually in your math strategies that I notice many students have problems with, and rightfully so. The section is called multiplying fractions, but the section is not about multiplying standard fractions like 2/3 times 3/4, but mixed numbers. I did not like the way engineering teaches this section, so I'll first go over the way they solve it, because you're going to need to know how they solve it to answer a lot of the questions, and then either in this video or a separate video I will show you how I personally solve these. So with that said, I'm going to throw up an example problem from the actual ingenuity questions, and we're going to go over that. I'm going to show them their method, and then eventually I'll show you how I would solve it. Alright, so this is actually from the math strategies section. I think it's called multiplying fractions. This is an actual problem from that section that's on the quiz, or one of the quizzes, one of the quiz questions. So this is going to be a freebie if you want to see me solve this. Alright, let's read the problem first and then try to solve it their method. And what they use a distributive property to multiply mixed numbers. So Yasmin purchased 6 heads of cabbage that each weighed 2 3/8 pounds. How much did the cabbage weigh altogether? So first of all, this is a story problem, and we first need to identify what they're actually asking. There's a couple key words in this sentence or this question that we can identify. If you look at how much did the cabbage weigh altogether, the term altogether is you want to get a total. So in this case, altogether they want to know if I have 6 heads of cabbage and each one weighs that, what's their total weight? This is a multiplication problem. So we're going to multiply 6 heads, 6 times 2 3/8. So the way Ingenuity teaches this is they teach using the distributive property. What does that mean? That means I'm taking this integer and I'm multiplying by each one of these terms. So they're distributing that 6 times 2 and then plus 6 times 3/8. So it looks something like this. So I'm taking my 6 times 2 and then I'm adding 6 times 3/8. So they're using the distributive property to multiply a integer times a mixed number. And on a side note, why they call this a mixed number? They call this a mixed number because it's made up of an integer. This can be negative, positive, a 2, and a fraction, a mixed number. So it's made up of 2 separate components, so they call it a mixed number. So like I said, the way they solve this, they're taking the integer times each one of the portions of your mixed number. First times the integer, then plus, this is the key, plus 6 times the fraction portion. And I'm going to go ahead and solve that. So we just do 6 times 2 first. Hopefully everybody can do that. If not, punch that in your calculator. And then we're doing 6 times 3/8. I'm going to do that to the side here. I'm going to put this over 1 to help. You don't have to do, but when you multiply fractions, remember we can cancel on the diagonal, or we can cancel up and down. Not cancel, but to reduce. So I'm looking for the biggest common factor that can go into each one of these on the diagonal or up and down. If you look at a 6 and an 8, you know they're both even numbers, so a 2 can go into both of those. So if I divide 6 by 2, I'm going to get a 3. and 8 by 2, I should get a 4. Now I can't reduce here. 3 and 1 is already reduced. 1 can't get reduced any farther, and once again 3 and 4 are already reduced. So now I just go ahead and multiply my top times top. 3 times 3 is 9. 1 times 4 is 4. So then I'm adding 9/4. So to solve this, is this 12 plus 9/4. So here's another catch. This is an improper fraction. This is called an improper fraction because the numerator, the top portion, is greater than the denominator. So now, in order to match what they have for answers, which one of these, we don't know yet, I first have to convert this improper fraction into a mixed number. The way you do this, you take the bottom, you put it into the top, and then you have a remainder left over. So what do I mean by that? So if I have 4, how many times can 4 go into 9? 4 goes into 9 twice. That would put us at 8, right? So I have a remainder of 1, and then the denominator stays the same. So once again, I have 9 divided by 4. How many times can 4 go into 9? It goes twice. That puts us at an 8. Then I have 1 left over to get to the 9, and then the denominator stays the same. So if I'm adding 12 plus 2 and 1/4, 12 plus 2 is 14, and then I just have the 1/4. LBS. So this is their method how to solve it using the distributive property. I'm taking the whole integer times each one of these components, and this portion right here, the plus sign, is key. It's adding. I'm adding this. Not multiplying. I'm multiplying these components, but I'm adding the results. So hopefully that helps for these. The next section, I will probably end up doing a different method to solve this, maybe later on today or my next video. My method I'm going to use is I find it much easier. You run into the problems if you start multiplying multiple mixed numbers, which seems to be really hard. Say, for instance, if I had something like 2 and 2/3 times 4 and 1/4, this essentially turns into something similar to multiplying binomials, which some of you haven't seen yet. That's more in your algebra, first algebra class. So if you take this times this, that times that, that times that, it's just a mess. So using the distributive property to solve a problem like this is a big waste of time. There's a much easier method to solve these, which I will show later on.